we're going to look at how we can make our own keyboard shortcuts. So sorry we don't know where to go, do Command or Control Shift P and type in what you think might be you're looking for. So we want keyboard, and here we can see preferences, open keyboard shortcuts. I've made mine Control and the hash or the pound sign here. So if we click on that, we can then see all the ones we've got here at the moment. So for example, I had the activity bar, which was this here. So if I type in activity, I'm just typing in a few words, activity, and there we can see toggle activity car bar. I've done its control number 1. What I found useful for what I've done with these is I use the control or command key in Mac and one of the numbers on the keypad. So for example, if I do control 1, that will toggle this activity bar here. But if I double click this, I can assign the key that I want. And supposing I wanted to make it control 3, I could type that in, control and then 3. And if there's another one that's using it, that's 2 3s there. Let's go back, let's clear that. Let's do that again. If I do control and 3, that's the answer. This is the one I've got here for the keyboard press. So let's get back down, that's just number 3. Let's clear that out. Double click on that, do control and 3. It says straight away there's already one has this. If we click on that, it will come up with view toggle minimap as my control 3. So let's go back again, let's escape, and toggle minimap is that one. What I really want to do is to find the minimap, which was that minimap, toggle minimap, toggle, and you can see if like me you're making a little bit of a mess and going round through things, there you find it, control number 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change that, just for the sake of demonstration, to control Q W. Nothing, use that. If I then click enter, that's now changed. So if I come out of here by escaping and closing this down, if we have a look at our mini map here, if I do control Q W, the mini map's gone, which is this bit along here. Do it again, control Q W. Open a file, control Q W. That's doing something different now. So let's go to keyboard press. Let's see what we've done wrong here. Toggle minimap. I've done 2, control Q, control W. So just be careful when you're putting in. So let's change this. Let's change this back to control and 3. That's not quite, that's just the number 3. You've got to hold the control key down, control 3, save it. That's in it there now. So if we close this down and if we go into a file and we do control 3, we can see the minimap comes up, control 3 again, it's gone. So what I've done is I've done control and the hash pound symbol. I've made mine for bringing up these keyboard shortcuts. If I come in here and type in keyboard help keyboard shortcuts reference, preferences, open keyboard shortcuts, control and the hash or the pound symbol, that's how it comes up for me. So ones that I've done for example, I have done this sidebar. When I was moving it from the left to the right, I do control 5, that moves it across. If I want to hide this activity bar, it's control and 1. If I want to toggle the word wrap, we saw that before, I just need to make this a little bit smaller. I'm doing control 7, opening that up. And notice you can also find, like in selection, there, or you can see all the keyboard shortcuts. So when you know which one you like, you can change. Coming here for editor layout, for example, we can open up different columns. We have the extensions, we have appearance, and for example Zen Mode, I made control numpad 9. What that does for me is that clears away. Zen Mode is where everything's clear and you have an uncluttered screen. That's what's called Zen screen. I do Control 9, and we could see that on the view appearance. There was Zen screen there, but if we got, for example, show sidebar, that was my control number 2. Show activity bar, show edit area, show panel. Let's see what comes up when we do that. That's the terminal panel, which is also control and quotation mark, single quotation part for me. So whenever you're not sure what to do, obviously you can look around here, but keyboard shortcuts make things very fast and very quick. So it's Control or Command Shift P. That brings it up, and it'll give the things you've recently used. So color theme, for example, comes up here. And what we're going to look is actually how we can change a lot of some of these settings as well. Just as to show you what that's possible, I've done Control number pad 8. If I open this up here, we can also have access to the JSON file where we can change various settings. Now, where one of these is quite useful is, and I've given you the code at the end of this lesson, is these workbenches here. If you notice in the Explorer bar, generally it's very close, and it's quite hard to tell in Visual Studio Code what's in a folder, what's not. By putting these color bars here, for example this one here, the active background, that's highlighting here. The status bar at the bottom I've customized. The workbench tree indent of 25 is the gap here. Let's make it really big. This is what this will do. We put that in. Now we can see it's nice and wide, so it's very easy now to make sure. Little typo there, 45. Save. Now you can see that's nice and wide, so it's very clear what's in a folder, what's not. I think for me 25 works best. Control save. Nice and easy to see what's in the right folder. Closing them all down, opening them up. Indent guide strokes, this blue color here, that's the line coming down here. So straight away we can change these through JSON, but we also have a UI editor. And the way I've done mine is Control 8 gives me this JSON, but Control Alt 8 takes me into a UI version. And if we come into view here, editor layout, appearance, settings, but if we come in here, we can change by just scrolling through all the different parameters of things. Indent, spaces, word wrap, whether it's on or off by default. And if you want to find anything, you can just type in here. So if we were going for minimap scale, that can show it in 1, 2 or 3. Let's change that to 3 and see what that does. And opening up the minimap is Control 3. Let's first go into a page that has some code. Now you can see how much bigger that is. So if we go back into settings, user settings here, let's change that to 1. Come back here, it's smaller. So how do we get into user settings? Well, we can do Control Shift P and actually just type in user and help user interface overview. Open user settings here, we can open that up, and you've got your text editor, workbench, extensions. So if we go down into text, we've got the minimap, for example, and we can scroll down here. If you want to find anything like toggling something, let's see what comes up with toggle. That's not on this one here. Window menu bar visibility, that's the menu bar. Setting of togglement, this bar is hidden, and a single press of the Alt key will show it. Visible toggle, so let's do that. Press Alt. That's the bar up top here. I didn't know that one, so we leave that as default. So once again we can go into edit, selection, view, appearance, editor layout. If you're never sure about something, come down to the bottom here to the gear icon and look for preferences. Are they here? Settings, for example, and here we can see the shortcut is Control, comma. So let's do that. Control, comma. That's it there. Let's close it down. Control, comma, and there we come in to, for example, the text editor. When we do that, the cursor, if you notice when I'm doing one of my pages, it's blinking. So we come back here, And these are the raw JSON data, that is the data that's used in the settings panel. So you can use both of those. So cursor blinking, there it's expanding, it can be smooth, you can change it. Cursor style line. The fonts, for example, you can change the fonts that you want to use if you download fonts. Font ligatures, that's where characters like the 2 pluses or the equal signs are joined together. You may have seen that on videos. You see them joined together. That's what a font ligature is. Font weight, let's change that to bold and see the difference in our code. There we can see it's nice and bold. So you'll get to know all the different ones you need, but the thing to remember is either coming down here into is it view, editor layout, for example, got appearance, command palette, control shift P, that's the useful one that brings up the dialog box of all the things we've used before. But by typing anything in, even if we go for, say, like font, focus on terminal view, no, the font doesn't come up in that one. Let's go into text editor. No matches there. We're in this one here now. If we're doing, like, for example, JSON preferences, settings JSON, that's where we're in the workspace setting, and that's where you can override the ones that are all here. So editor tab size 4, let's change that to 20 just to see what that, cannot edit in read-only mode. So I think with that one what we need to do is go here, Control C, selection line. So this is read-only, editor font size. Let's see if that can be changed. 18. No, we can't change it here. So we're looking at this. So what we'll do is we'll close this one down, do Command Shift P, open user settings there, JSON, open user settings recently used. So we've got like window sizes, features, and what we're going to look at next is some useful extensions that can change certain things in our code. Because if we come back in our code here, if you notice, for example, these brackets, if I click on one, lines up with the arrow. Let's do a smaller one here, for example, and notice how they have the same color because they're matching colors to make it easier for us. If we look down here, they're of the same color. That's one of our extensions. So what we'll do, we'll close this lesson down, and next we'll look at some of the extensions we can do. For example, we can also have live server, and just as a quick look at that, let's go into Explorer, into, say, HTML. If I go into an HTML file, if I right click and do open with live server, this will give me a window browser opened that will show the actual page, and that'll be coming up shortly. You can see it firing up. There we go. There it is. So you can join them side by side. Because I'm recording, it's slowing everything down. But here, what, for example, you can make that smaller here, make this one smaller here, and straight away that's this file here. So if I load the posts, I get the data here. Let's just move this across. Let's close down the extras here, and let's make a slight little change just so we can see it in live. Come back up, fetch JSON stream. I'll put a little exclamation mark here, do Control Save, and there you can see it. So in the next lesson we'll look at how we can add some of these extensions to expand what we can do.